At the time, did you say anything to the president about that is not an appropriate request? Or did you tell the White House counsel that is not an appropriate request? Someone needs to go tell the president that he can't do these things?
I didn't, no.
Okay. Why?
I don't know. I think, as I said earlier, I think the circumstances were such that I was a bit stunned and didn't have the presence of mind. And I don't know, I don't want to make you sound like I'm Captain Courageous. I don't know whether even if I had the presence of mind, I would have said to the president, sir, that's wrong. I don't know whether I would have.
Wasn't strong enough. I don't know. I have no idea. Wow. Welcome back to Hannity. That was an exchange today between Senator Marco Rubio and James Comey, where the Florida senator totally exposed a lot of the discrepancies in the former FBI director's treatment of President Trump. Joining us now with much more on this, editor-in-chief of LifeZette, Fox News contributor, nationally syndicated radio talk show host Laura Ingraham. All right, I want to give you a big picture room here. I think that was the second longest monologue I've done in my history. Yeah.
Yeah, Hannity, I was like, okay, what time is it, dude? I mean, it's like, okay, you can wrap this up anytime soon.
I spent all day putting that together. Do you mind? What about my hard work?
Hannity, I had popcorn. We have ice cream sodas here. It's great. We're all enjoying it.
All right, let's get your take.
All right. Well, he sounds a lot like Hamlet there, right? He was tortured about what to say or what not to say. At one point I think it was to Dianne Feinstein, he said, maybe if I were a stronger man. And then with Rubio, he said, I don't know. I don't even know if I would have said it if I had the presence of mind. You know what I said just as a matter of observation about Jim Comey? He's a man who has been a U.S. attorney. He was deputy attorney general. He was director of the FBI and a practicing attorney. Okay, all of those things over years and years and years. And yet he somehow could not gather himself sufficiently to, when behind closed doors with the president, say, sir, I mean, I don't mean any offense, but this interaction, even our interaction one-on-one, could be perceived as inappropriate. The appearance of this could be inappropriate. So for your sake, sir, and mine, I suggest that either we bring someone in or, he could have said that, but instead he's the kind of guy who runs to the car and starts pecking out a memo to the file. And I've been in Washington a long time, Sean, and I'm sorry, but those are the kind of people who are always in CYA mode. They're always trying to cover or get leverage over someone else instead of being a straight shooter and saying, Mr. President, again, if he really felt that way, Mr. President, this just doesn't feel right for me. And if I understand it's your constitutional authority to direct investigations under Article 2, which he admitted today, but I don't feel right about this. I'm happy to tender my resignation because maybe this is the way you're going to do business, but I don't feel comfortable. He didn't do that, Sean, in my view, after watching him today, because he wanted to remain as director of the FBI. And he thought he could put this little ace in the hole away for a rainy day, this little memo, and he got back to the Justice Department and he showed it to all the other hens around him. And they kind of clucked about it. And what do we do? What do we do? Should we show it to Rosenstein, the deputy AG, or not? And then in the end, they kind of just waited. And that is the worst way to approach a matter for a man with this much experience. At 6'8".
Yeah, okay. But you hit a very important vein.
I was just going to say, Sean, let me just finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
All right, so you tweeted today.
At 6'8", he's bullied. Yeah, he's bullied by a 70-year-old boss of his who said he hopes that he could see to it to wrap up the investigation. Come on.
All right, here's the important thing, and I actually retweeted you today because this was a really good point you made, and it's about what we've been talking about for 2 days. And I will tell you, and we'll get into this with I'll ask your opinion, we'll get Jay's opinion, Geraldo's opinion, and Greg Jarrett's opinion.
Yeah.
But, we had talked about 18 U.S. Code 4, and you pointed this out today. Let me put it up on the screen for our audience, because now he actually said in his testimony today, which is pretty amazing, that, it's not up to me to decide obstruction. But meanwhile, he went back and basically said it. Now, here's where he might have gotten himself into more legal trouble, because whoever having knowledge of actual commission of a felony cognizable by a court of the United States conceals and does not, as soon as possible, make known to the same some judge or other person, civil, military authority under the United States shall be fined and or imprisoned not more than 3 years or both. All right. You're right here. He had an obligation, if he thought there was obstruction, to immediately report it, not speculate, oh, maybe Jeff Sessions is leaving in 3 weeks. He had a duty, a legal bound duty to do it. Is he in jeopardy?
I mean, I think he could be, and I'm stunned that more wasn't made of that at this hearing. The question was asked, and then they kind of moved on. But again, Sean, he is a sophisticated player on the legal scene. When he was asked about 18 U.S.C. Section 4, he kind of seemed like he was almost not ready for that question, or I thought it was the strangest answer. He kind of shuffled away from that question, but he had been spending all this time avoiding answering the question of whether this could it rise to obstruction. He said, I'm not in a position to do so. But then he made such a big point of saying it was awkward, it was shocking, he felt pressured. He told Sessions, "Don't leave me alone with him." He was so unnerved by the president exercising his constitutional prerogative under Article 2 to ask about investigations, direct investigations. All of that was permissible, and Jim Comey was, I guess, petrified of it. It was a strange colloquy that I don't think got settled, and was odd in my mind that he wasn't ready for that question. It was very strange.
I was wondering who his lawyer was. Now, think about today, though, Laura. You know, there was no investigation ever of the president, but he didn't tell anybody. He, of course, also when you get into this, the president not only didn't encourage him to stop, he encouraged him to go forward as it relates to the investigation with Russia. There was no collusion, we learned today, in any way, shape, manner, or form. And as one senator pointed out, I forget who at this point, you know, the idea, nobody's ever been indicted for obstruction for saying, well, I hope so. I hope nothing happens.
Oh, that was,
Nothing.
they nailed him.
Way,
that was Senator Reich from Idaho. Yeah, that was Senator Reich from Idaho. He's kind of an unsung hero. Jim Langford, really? A couple of them had really, really good moments, Tom Cotton. But in the end, it seemed to me that this was an FBI director who was spurned. And his scorn was then directed into this memo to the file that he wrote, that he then discussed with his little clique of confidants, that he then ultimately leaked to a professor at Columbia whom he knew would leak it to the media. The man is a leaker who was trying to salvage his own reputation. He had his feelings hurt. He had his ego bruised, and he tried to carry this off today. So he had some chivalrous view of the way the department should be discussed and treated. If he was so worried about the integrity of the department, why did he go to that second meeting with the president and not stop it if indeed he thought it was so inappropriate? He's the one who put the department in jeopardy, not Donald Trump.
All right, Laura, I'll pay for the popcorn, and you were really drinking not ice cream sodas with vodka on the rocks. I'll pay for all of it. Just send me the bill.
Fantastic. We got it all set up here, Hannity. We need you to come to D.C.
This was one of the most remarkable days I think I've ever seen in politics. 30 years now on radio, 22 years on Fox. What an unbelievable day. Thank you for your analysis. All right.